course. So setting the course, you figure out where the wind's coming from, and you figure out where you want your windward mark. So we'll oftentimes use this little instrument here to look down, look through to kind of give some coordinates. I can look through here. I can tell the marked boat approximately where I want them, but then when I look through, of course it's not working for me right now.
Is there a name for that?
Yes, some kind of compass.
It's a sighting compass.
Sighting compass. It's a sighting compass, and it will, I can give them exact coordinates from this sighting compass.
Direction,
So,
yeah, like
so they know
a compass heading.
yeah, so they know where they need to sight to get into a better position for a windward mark. And I do the same thing with the leeward. Really
If you've
important to
ever
have,
worked on centering a picture with somebody else, times it by 10.
that's exactly right. And so you need how many radios? You need one to talk on, one for backup, and then one on the boat for backup. So you need quite a few radios, and then you'll have some skippers that don't have radios. So then you need a whiteboard, because they'll float by and check in. And then if you have a whiteboard that shows the windward leeward, similar to what's on that paperwork, if everybody's looking at that, the bottom of that paperwork is a windward leeward. So it's a little, it's on the paper it looks very simple, like just, down and back. But out on the ocean or on a river that has a tide, that's not as easy to decide, but that is the course. It's all because of the width of our Wilmington River and the sound. It's hard to do a triangular course. Sometimes we can do a short course and go around 2 or 3 times. And so the slower boats would probably go around twice, and then the faster boats would go around 3 times. And so then you would notate that on your board, that the class A goes 3 times, class B around 2 times. And that's very confusing. So you say it on the radio, you say it on the board, and then you actually speak it to people when they come by. And then they tell each other and get it wrong. It's a lot like radio. But we try, or telephone, we try. So we put.
Do we have the larger one that used to be over there that showed the windward and leeward marks, I think, for the rules?
I don't know where
I
that
don't know
is.
what that big poster was.
Yeah.
We did have some
We
nice
do have
windward and
some.
leeward marks.
We do, and I don't think I need this breeze.
Oh, I was just saying that so that you could
Turn off the wind.
demonstrate the
Okay.
direction and
Absolutely.
the intensity of your sailboat fuel.
Yeah, yeah. So to set a course, ideal, if everything was perfect, I would have 2 mark boats. Because if I really only need 15 or 20 minutes to decide where the wind's coming from, I really need one boat going windward and one boat going leeward, set those marks, and call everybody around to give them the course schedule. So on the actual committee boat, you need someone that will manage the horn, someone that will manage time, one that will record the start time, so our people with logs, and you need someone calling out the time. And all that has to happen with synchronization.
And the flag, somebody to raise the, yeah.
Yeah. And so, if you're ready, I'll show you this film. They are doing it correctly. I do need to tell you, they beep their horn. So if you hear a beep, 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 that means come around. That means all the skippers should know to come around because they're going to get course instructions. Or the race is going to start pretty soon.
One more thing, just since you were on the marks.
Yeah.
The other communication is also critical, not just for position of marks, but what you also want to report back to the committee vote is you want to know how much water and how your conditions are around that mark you set. Because if you're finding out that the mark for position, the wind, and everything is perfect, but then 5 feet off of that mark, you've got a bump that people can knock into. And you're looking, and the mark boat is the one that sees the depth, where you can't see it from the committee boat. That needs to be communicated back to the committee boat.
So that's a good thing, Harry. So it's also it's not really easy to drop a mark. So a mark has line, and it has what do you call it, drag.
Yeah,
It has drag, and so you want the actual float where I tell you to put it. So you have to know where the wind's coming from and where the tide's coming from, because you kind of position the mark, and then you need to direct the boat into the tide. First, you're right, Harry. First, you circle the area where you think the mark will go. You need at least 20 feet. You need enough feet over the length of the tide going up and down for the boats to round it. And generally, you need 5 foot for every boat, but 20 feet is probably enough. And so, as long as you've got 20 feet all around and your mark's going to stay where you put it, it will. If you drive your little rowboat or whatever, motorboat, into the tide, and if you drop your mark, your weight over here, it will fall, and then hopefully your mark will stay where it's supposed to be. Otherwise, if you drop the anchor where I tell you I need the mark, it will float with the tide a good 10 feet maybe, depending on how much road you have on your anchor.
So you want to take into consideration mark position and anchor deviation, because you're going to have a deviation from the point of your anchor being on the bottom to where your mark is actually going to be on the surface. And that deviation is going to change if you turn around and you're going over slack tide, because you'll have the deviation in one direction with tide and wind, and then if change comes happening, you're going to have that same amount of deviation. Well, you're not going to have the same amount, because if the tide is coming up, you're going to lose road, so the deviation is going to be less because of how much line it is to get to the surface.
It is a bit tricky, and it's a lot easier on a lake, because you just kind of, again, you want to take your motorboat and drive into the wind so that your mark's behind you where it's supposed to be. Let me turn off my sound. Somebody's having fun. So yeah, unless there's this wild condition where the wind is going to be coming, for instance, from the east, and it is stronger than your tide, then it's going to be even trickier to lay that mark, but we deal with it as best we can. We can pull the weight. Once we know approximately where we want this, we can lift it and drag it and place it.
So the mark boat actually needs 2 people.
It needs 3 people,
Or 3.
1 to drive.
You want to take into consideration length of the road and tidal deviation, because if you're going along and everything's wonderful, and then the tide comes up and you have that tide off, and now it floats your anchor, you've just gone way off mark.
And chances are I'll either depending on the conditions, I'll move it out or in for a second race. So they do get moved around. But you kind of get the feel for it after you've done it a couple times. Okay, so what else? Are you ready for a movie?
Mhm.
Okay. This will go through the 5-minute sequence, and it's 6 minutes and 47 seconds. So you think you can concentrate that long? Okay, we'll do it.